My name is Maggie Cawley. I serve as the Executive Director for OpenStreetMap US. And I had the pleasure of co-chairing this year's FedGeoDay alongside Eddie Pickle. And it's been a long trek to get here, but we're happy to be here today with all of you. So thanks for showing up. Also want to thank our sponsor, Carahsoft. Thank you, Carahsoft. Woo woo. Next year, I want to see a lot more company names up here, though, by the way. So think ahead. Also, some partners this year, OSGeo US. I don't know if Guido's in the room. Thanks for all your hard work. And then the team at OpenStreetMap US was hard at work this year, helping alongside the team. Also want to thank everybody who joined our many meetings over the past 6 months. Can all of the members of the planning committee that are here in person please stand up? We never really met each other in person, so. All right. Great, we'll all have to get together later. Quite a few people came together to make this a possibility, which I think embodies what the open source community does. So this is the 10th FedGeoDay. It was initiated in 2012. How many people were at that first event? Wow. Thank you for admitting that, and welcome back. My first FedGeoDay was actually in 2013, which I didn't realize. I looked back at a blog that I started 10 years ago, Maggie Maps, and it was my first entry, was my big trip to DC to go to FedGeoDay 2013. And for me, it launched me into an entirely new path for my life. So I kind of have a special place in my heart for this event. So how many people are here for the first time? That's fantastic. Welcome. So the idea behind FedGeoDay is it's dedicated to promoting the use of open geospatial ecosystems to build programs in the US federal agencies and their partners. So really pushing open into all of the things that drive our day-to-day lives through our federal agencies. And that's why we're all here. A lot of what it has done for me is build those relationships to be able to change the way things work and open up our systems and programs. One example I will give a plug today is OpenStreetMap US is launching a statewide initiative, a national initiative really, to map all of the trails in Utah starting today, alongside state, federal, local partners. And a lot of those relationships that led to that launch over the last 2 years have really led to being able to do something like this across the country. So please meet people, talk about what you're into, and hopefully you'll walk away from today with a lot of new relationships and ideas for how to use open in your programs.
The gold legal of it out again.
All right, this was the best slide. So this slide tells you about open geospatial ecosystems. A lot of people ask, what does that even mean? What are we doing here? What's an open geospatial ecosystem? And I think there's quite a few we can name. We have the free and open source software, the FOSS4G. Who's here for that? Your QGIS, GeoNode, GeoServer, PostGIS, a lot of the folks doing their workshops today too. There's the open collaborative mapping communities. So a couple of our panelists are going to talk about VGI today and open source and open data. NGA GNOME, USGS National Map Corps, and of course OpenStreetMap. Open innovation programs and applications. We have Census Open Innovation Lab. Anybody here from there today? OGC innovation pilots, quite a few things going on in that space. And then, open geospatial science. This is the year of open science, right? So the Landscan, SpaceNet, Conflict Observatory, just to name a few. So those are some of the things we'll hear about today. We've got a great program and a lot of panelists. How many people in the room are going to be participating in the program today? Quite a few folks. So it's a great day, and we're going to kick things off here with our keynote. I'd like to invite Josh Delmonico to the stage. Josh serves as the Executive Director for the Federal Geographic Data Committee, FGDC, for those of you in the know. In this role, he provides executive leadership for the coordination of U.S. federal geospatial activities in collaboration with the 32 FGDC member federal agencies to implement the Geospatial Data Act and conduct strategic planning and visioning for the implementation of National Spatial Data Infrastructure, NSDI, which we are all a part of across the nation. So help me welcome Josh to the stage.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for the opportunity. Super excited to be here and be a part of this community. As Maggie said, it's a year of open data and open science. We have a lot of amazing things happening in the federal space and in the commercial and in the nation due to the work that you guys do. You know, some of the awesome work happening at OpenStreetMap with open software, all of the data collection and opportunities out there. I think it's, can you guys hear me okay? I'm not sure if the microphone's, all right. Anyway, all of the work that's happening is really incredible and shaping the industry and technology and really the way we're moving forward in the world. So today I have, let's see, the opportunity, to figure out how to use PowerPoint in front of all of you. There we go. Whoops. There we go. All right. So anyway, today I'm going to talk about a little bit about the National Spatial Data Infrastructure. I'm going to touch a little bit on what I've been working on in my role leading that effort forward for the nation, and then talk about some of the challenges and some of the places that I think, you know, the open source community can help contribute in this space. And certainly, I don't have all the answers, so would welcome your thoughts and ideas on how you can help forward where we're trying to go. So I thought it'd be useful to start out with the definition of the National Spatial Data Infrastructure. So what is the National Spatial Data Infrastructure? The Geospatial Data Act defines it as the technology, policies, criteria, standards, and employees really to promote data sharing across the nation. And it's not just data sharing for data sharing's sake, but really when you look at this slide, the left-hand side is kind of how we've organized our federal data, but it's federal, state, tribal, and local data, as well as nonprofit, academia, and private sector data made available through a national spatial data infrastructure to address our national I don't know why you're seeing that slide. Interesting. I really do know how to use PowerPoint, but we'll try again this way. Oh, there we go. All right. There we go. Now my dialogue might match my slides. But you guys saw this slide, right? Okay. No? Oh, good. All right. Well, just try to remember what I said a minute ago about the National Spatial Data Infrastructure. Promoting data sharing, but not just data sharing for data sharing's sake. But if you look at the right-hand side of the slide, it's really taking our nation's geospatial resources, our capabilities, our data, our systems, and our applications, and making them available to address the really existential problems we face, not just as a nation, but as a globe. So things like, you know, food security, climate, immigration, infrastructure management. You know, how do we put our best foot forward as a geospatial community and enable the rest of the nation to access this data to help solve some of those problems? Well, let's see. So where are we today in this? That's interesting. All right, I'm waiting. All right. The laptop's disconnected from what's happening on the screen, or at least in my mind it is, so I could see one slide, but it doesn't. Anyway, not that you needed to know that. So where we are today is sort of this mix. Maggie mentioned this ecosystem. So one way to think about the world today is that there are these ecosystems of geospatial capabilities and data. Some of them are at a state level. You call them spatial data infrastructures, where states and counties and cities are connected. Sometimes multiple states are connected in regions. We have these topical ecosystems like a marine spatial data infrastructure, where data around a particular topic is flowing across multiple organizations, and there's capabilities and tools and analytics available. On the left-hand side of the slide, we have national data sets that the federal government and other organizations have built and made available across the nation. There are a lot of different catalog capabilities, visualization analytics services, and a lot of emerging technology. Much of the most exciting stuff happening now is things in the space of artificial intelligence, 3D, augmented reality, virtual reality, and some of those things. But they're enabled on a framework of standards and metadata. So let's see if I can. So really, where are we going to go from here? And I think we have an opportunity to really ask ourselves, how do we deliver? All right, sorry. Oh man, I'm so close to having this figured out. We have to ask ourselves, how do we deliver data and insight? It isn't really useful to drop a bunch of, knowledge and insight. It isn't really useful to drop a bunch of data on a person trying to make a decision. They really want help giving them that answer. And I've heard this idea of data to knowledge to insight, and I've kind of wondered, what does that look like in practice? So I did my own analogy here. But if you took a few screen captures from my phone, or if you look at the lower left, you have data and information, right? Like, where's Washington, D.C.? What are the main roads around? What's that kind of general traffic stuff? But that's not really useful. Nobody can do much with that information. And then when you get to the kind of the knowledge piece, I start to understand, well, here's kind of what I have to do to get from point A to point B. Here's about the time it's going to take me, and here's some alternate routes. But there's really not a decision exactly to be made until you deliver insights. And I think turn-by-turn directions and recommendations on where we go is really an example of what delivering an insight, instead of just delivering a bunch of data to somebody on their phone. They don't really know what to do with that. They want to know, where am I supposed to turn, and how am I going to get there? So I think it's incumbent upon us to think about how are we going to make our data and information more accessible and more available to the other 99% of the world that doesn't do this for a living, who can really benefit from access to our data and information, but not as raw data, but what are those insights that they can derive value from. All right, so how are we going to get there? And this will be like, man, he got us all excited, and now he's going to tell us we're going to get there with a plan. But we're going to get there with a strategic plan, and really the idea is we can't know where we're all going to try to go together. So when I say all, we're really thinking of our national spatial data infrastructure. So it's a pretty wide, well, it's the entire nation, right? A huge stakeholder community with a lot of disparate interests, capabilities, and direction. So a plan gives us the left and right limits and an idea of where we're all trying to go together, so that we can get there from our own sort of perspective and area of responsibility. So this is our draft plan. I've been working with the Census Bureau, and myself or Deirdre Bishop are co-championing the development of the strategic plan, and talked to about 800 people to date to get this plan developed, and we'll be working this over about the next 6 months to finalize it next summer. So I'd welcome your thoughts and feedback on this as we go through that process. And then once we, hold on. All right, once we get there, sorry, is that the right one? Yeah. All right, I'm with you. Sorry this is clunky, but it's hard to go back and forth. I also think once we have a plan, we need an implementation plan, right? How are we going to actually implement that strategy? And this is just some ideas and thoughts. I think, some of these phases might be concurrent, not all like data development, for example. We're probably never going to stop developing that data or maintaining data that we have. I think we might use some tools like artificial intelligence or get better at doing that, but data development's going to continue. I think working to make our data more discoverable, how do you access and search the national spatial data infrastructure? I'm not entirely sure, but I think we could do better at sort of maturing those national search capabilities. Making our data and metadata machine readable is a really important, I think, step in that process, and integrating advanced technologies and really pushing towards a geospatial ecosystem that Maggie talked a little bit about. So let's see. All right, all right. So on the, I said I was going to talk for a second about the challenges, and I think this is where, we all collectively need to put our heads together and think about how we're going to go about this, and how we can kind of change the way the entire industry functions. So I've been thinking a lot about, we got where we are by doing what we've been doing. And I think we really have to think very hard about where we've been and how we think about our our work and ask ourselves, are we doing things, in the best way? And I'll just use an example to maybe add a little clarity to this. So from my perspective, right, I started doing GIS in the mid-90s. It was command line arc info. You'd go up to a folder on a computer server, grab some files, bring them down, put them together, and make a map, right? And I think that simple perspective shapes the way I think about GIS even today. I still have this idea, like I want to go get the data, and I got to like have it here, and I got to put all this stuff together. And then I think there's a whole generation of people that don't think like that. And I think fundamentally asking ourselves, what can we do different, and how do we really take advantage of the tools and capabilities we have to deliver the best we can is incumbent upon all of us. So some of the challenges, I think, how do we lower the barriers to getting our geospatial data and applications out and really delivering data and knowledge, supporting that 99% that aren't geospatial professionals. When I think about my mom, I think about her phone, and she uses it just to do map directions. That's the only thing she uses geospatial for, and she doesn't even know it's geospatial really. So what are those other examples? What are other things and other tools we can give to people that become part of their everyday life? Artificial intelligence provides us, I don't have to tell you guys this, an incredible opportunity for technology, not just in, geospatial artificial intelligence, how we're doing our geospatial things like data development, but maybe even we can ask artificial intelligence or work with artificial intelligence to help us find what's the best available data, help us do search better, integrate artificial intelligence with things like, geospatial data with things like ChatGPT. So we're asking geospatial questions, but not getting a map as a response. It's just getting factored into a textual response. I think all of these things are places that we can, look, how about a large language model that's open source for geospatial? You're going to hear a lot of great talks about some of these things, this question of authoritative versus fit for purpose versus best available. Can we crowdsource whether a data set's the best data? And then integrating 3D augmented reality and virtual reality, kind of getting into some of the capabilities there. So I think there's a lot of opportunity in this community to continue to lead and provide different ways of thinking and different ways of looking at the world, really to help us solve the nation's biggest challenges. So thanks very much. I appreciate your time and for hanging with me while I deal with the screen.